Hey, how's it going? I'm coming back at you with another redesign video. Now before I begin, I have noticed that most of you who watch my videos are not subscribed yet, so I will just introduce myself here. Hi, my name is Rachel, and in this corner of the internet I make design and lifestyle related videos. So this can comprise of things like what I'm going to be doing today, which is redesigning a popular logo. I also make other design related videos in order for you to just kind of be a little bit more informed about the design industry and kind of figure out is being a graphic designer or maybe even being an illustrator the right career path for you. So I have videos like that. I also have the lifestyle stuff, as I've said earlier. So I have things like vlogging or traveling. I do also kind of like vintagey related things. So I also like to bake and cook. So there was some videos, my latest ones for cooking and baking. I've done recipes from a 1950s cookbook, and I've done fashion as well, mostly art inspired right now, but I have other ideas coming up later on. So as you can see, I have a pretty wide variety of different types of videos that you can check out, you know, if you still aren't sure. And if you do like all my content, make sure to subscribe down below so then that way we can keep hanging out. Also, if you end up liking this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. That way more people can see this type of content and we can grow our little community. Alright, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. I'm going to be redesigning the popular logo, no other than Goodwill. But also, before we begin into that, do you see this line? I don't think I introduced it the last time we were here. I am excited about this thing because it looks like the moon, right? But it lights up. I mean, how cool is that? It's in different colors too. So you can pretty much have any color of the rainbow, but I'm going to change it back to blue because we are going to be talking about Goodwill. And see, you can even dim the light too. So it's cool. I just wanted to show you that because I'm all excited about it. But yeah, okay, Goodwill. So I want to do a thrift store logo because, well, I always love shopping at thrift stores. Ever since I started to want to style and dress myself, I've been going to thrift stores because they're affordable. And it's kind of nice that they also have that sustainable factor to them when buying their clothing, and it's all kind of one-of-a-kind pieces. You never know what you're going to find whenever you walk into a thrift store. I have been thrifting for a very long time, and actually I've been thrifting for 10 years now. Literally thinking about how old I was when I started thrifting, it's been 10 years, and it's crazy to see how fast time has flown since then. So to kind of just celebrate that in a way, that's why I decided to redesign the Goodwill logo. Now, I want to add an extra layer of challenge for myself in this design because I'm going to kind of change up my design style a little bit than what I'm normally used to designing because, I don't know, Goodwill, I have other ideas for it, especially being that retro and vintagey aspect, if you catch my drift. But we will talk about that a little bit more in my creative process that we will begin now.
Goodwill's nonprofit humble beginnings start in 1902. The original logo was to reflect its religious origins as it was established by a reverend by the name of Edgar J. Helms. The centerpiece is actually an emblem of a large black cross. As you can see, there's also lots of wording within the logo, having the Goodwill we know today, but also the way and not charity but a chance is also included. This logo lasted until 1968 when a rebrand was commissioned by the famous graphic designer Joseph Salemi. Goodwill also moved away from the religious origins and became secular instead. In the official website of Goodwill, it says that they wanted the logo to represent the many faces of self-sustaining and self-respecting people within Goodwill. This logo has remained since. Now this logo acts as a double purpose, and it's found in the G because it forms as a smiling face to symbolize their core message when placed over the dark blue background. And of course, the G acts as the initial of its name. There's also alternate versions of the Goodwill logo. Of course, there's one as just a word mark. Some use a cartoonish emblem too, and there are some with additional lettering like adding the region or having Industries International Inc. placed under Goodwill and off to the side. Okay, so let's talk about the current Goodwill logo. So I actually really love this Goodwill logo. Like, I thought it was extremely clever. When I found out about that G being a smiley face, you know, just by going to it a lot, and then obviously I touched on the history of its double purpose. I don't know, I just really love it, and I like when logos do that. You know, like how FedEx has that arrow in the middle of their word. So anything that has like little hidden meanings, I'm always a sucker for those type of logos. I think they're super fun, super clever, you know, all of that. Obviously this is a redesign, so we want to make this pretty different from what we're seeing here. And I kind of want to switch some things up a little bit. So the initial idea that like popped into my head as to why I wanted to like redesign Goodwill and kind of see it in that way. Earlier, as I've mentioned, I basically have been thrifting for a pretty long time, and one of the reasons why Goodwill is such a good place for starting out, you know, buying clothes is because it is affordable. And I feel like a lot of younger people buy from Goodwill. At least based off of my observations of going to these thrift stores for like the past 10 years. So I kind of want to revamp Goodwill in a way that is kind of trying to target a specific audience. And the target market that I am trying to push more for is ages 18 to 30. And so we're going to try to make this a lot more youthful. I want this to still hit both genders, and I want this with the youthfulness. I want it to kind of be playful and all of that, but also I also want to add that retro aspect to it, just because Goodwill is a thrift store and it always brings in clothing from every single decade basically. So sometimes their clothings do have that retro or vintage aspect to them. So I want this to be youthful but more a little bit modern towards like our current contemporary times, and then I also still want to incorporate that retro element to it. Okay, so as we can see in here, I did mention about the face and how much I love that it double purposed the G with the face. However, I kind of want to take this into a different direction. I obviously think that smiley face is like super cute. However, when I look at the face also at the same time, it really makes me think of those Lego figures. I don't know why, but it just makes me think of the Lego figures. I'm not looking at like a Lego figurine face right now, but I'm pretty sure it like kind of has some sort of similarity as to why I'm thinking about that. And because I associate it with it, I kind of think it's a little bit juvenile, like hitting a little bit of a younger audience, even though I know it isn't. So I'm actually going to get rid of that. I know, and I said I liked it a lot because it did the double purpose thing, but I'm going to want to get rid of that in the redesign that I have in mind. And instead, you know, obviously the purpose of Goodwill was, at least in a way, for my interpretation, is always like paying it forward in a way, trying to always be good to people, being friendly, being good-natured, infinitely. They're like trying to keep that up. So what I have in mind is to still incorporate that, but in a different way, just not through smiley face. And I also like sans serif types. You know how I'm always into those sans serif. So I'm gonna see, maybe I could do type of like a retro sans serif, or maybe I could go into a script type. I'm not entirely sure, but I know I don't want to go into like serif types or anything like that, because I feel like it would lose part of that youthfulness I'm trying to portray. Other things I love about this logo that I think I want to keep is the continuity in the G's, the O's, and the D, the circle area. I want to keep that continuous. And there's really not much else to say on my end about this of like what I don't like. I will say though, it's like a little unrelated. However, like because it's that shape, kind of like that squarish rectangular shape, in a way, this combination mark kind of reminds me of a Pantone swatch. Does it not? Does it not remind you of it? I think it's just the shape. I was just throwing that out there. But yeah, I think I've said enough of what I want in here. I think we should go ahead and gather up more inspiration and then go ahead and start sketching. Okay, so as always, I put down some of the words that I want this logo to kind of show. So I put down bold, fun, youthful, flowy, retro, spunky, playful, unique, and bubbly. So, I'm trying to hit a lot of different things. This list isn't supposed to be like a dead set, this is how it's supposed to look like. I just want the category of the logo design and sketches that I'm working on to actually just fall into that category. And as I said again, I do want this to be appealing to look more to a younger audience of both genders from ages 18 to 30, but I don't want it to be so juvenile, like kind of like how that face kind of gave more of a juvenile sense. But weirdly at the same time, the way that Goodwill was displayed, I guess, in their typeface, it also gave a wider range of an age demographic for even older audiences. I don't know. It has the two clashes, but I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so I just played around with Goodwill a lot and its different arrangements with trying to keep up with those circles that I mentioned earlier. With paying it forward infinitely, I really like that phrase that I said, because seeing those two O's together, especially the 4, I guess just like multiplies that, but it almost does remind me of the infinity symbol. Along with that, I just kind of played around with the different potential typefaces that I would want Goodwill to look like. I want there to be continuity within the typefaces, so making kind of like roundedness within all of the different letters, or just arranging them in a way that it just makes the eyes like skim over it really quickly, but at the same time still have a pretty good impact. And I also wanted to start playing with the tails of the G and the D, just so we could have more of that playfulness that I was trying to go for.
Okay, I hope you could kind of see how this process went. I hit something while I was doing all that. I'm trying to make this effect where you see how there are all these 4 circles in good. I'm trying to connect everything with this typeface that I have in mind. And so I kind of tried and played around with the word will, obviously, because that's not as connected as the word good. So you can see here, I'm trying to connect everything with these 4. And so then afterwards, I kind of went with the roundness in the W for Goodwill. And then once I finished that up, I saw like, okay, well, this D is obviously off by itself, and this G loop here is off by itself too. And in order for it to connect all together, I was like, maybe what if I extended the G down here or the D up there? And then I ended up with an open space. I didn't really like that it was open. So down here, I tried connecting it together. And then I was like, okay, well, this isn't really working. So I tried again. I don't know if you could kind of see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make the typeface a little more bubbly or like thicker. And so this is why I kind of like did an outline for all of them. And it has like this type of ribbon effect. And it has the flowiness that we're trying to look for. It also has this line, these 2 invisible lines, which kind of draws your eyes to kind of make a rectangular shape already. So I think we're going to try to go with something along the lines of this design when we go into the computer. So why don't we do just that?
Okay, here comes the fun part. I'm pretty much going down the whole list of different fonts, typefaces, to see what will match the best with the vision I'm trying to go for the new Goodwill logo. And within this Goodwill logo, typeface or whatever, I do actually plan on manipulating the type. So in a way, we're going to have part of that hand lettering aspect, which I am excited for, because we are going to be manipulating the tails of the G and the D just to have that flowiness that we put down earlier in our words. This still pretty much takes the longest time for me, I feel like, or I think it takes more time than I would like, just because, you know, there are a lot of options. And you know that meme about how designers just have a huge library of different fonts, except we only decide to use a few selection? Yeah, I feel like that's pretty true for me, but I try to not do that, which is why I end up with this list of different options of what could possibly go best with Goodwill. So within my choices, I also wanted that retro feel, and I'm trying to go more for the retro of the 70s feel, which is why I chose these types of different typefaces that you can see right here. And now I'm basically just I've narrowed down the different types of typefaces I want to proceed with. So this is why I'm starting to play with the tail of this typeface for the D and the G. So just a lot of manipulation, and I do still use my Wacom tablet for this whenever I'm trying to manipulate this, just because it's a lot easier than having to use my trackpad on my laptop, because that is where I do the majority of designing. Even though, yes, I do have a mouse, but do I use it? No, I do not. But anyways, being able to use a Wacom tablet where I can use my stylus and actually draw from there, I kind of like that aspect a lot better because it feels a lot more organic and just kind of brings a little bit of my traditional roots of where I started from. So along with the tweaking of the tail, I wanted that whole flowiness of continuity and bringing in the closeness aspect. So I tried seeing if I can kind of bring all of the different characters to kind of connect to each other, because this script type of font isn't actually fully connected. As you can see, there was a little bit of gaps in the kerning. So I thought, as I said, just to have that community feel to it that Goodwill is trying to achieve, yeah, I just moved all of the characters together. Have just more of that also calligraphy, cursive type of font feel. Stay consistent together too. I feel like that also makes the tails that I added onto the G and the D just connect better all together. But I did also want to play around with the other typefaces that were in the last up and coming running, just to see if maybe it would look better than the other one that I was working with. And as you can see, it didn't do as well compared to that first manipulation of the font that I used. It's having that flow. So, okay, what I am not achieving that well earlier, I was trying to see if I could connect the tail of the G towards the D, but while I was attempting to do that, I saw a vision in my head that just it would not suit as well, and I feel like there would be too much white space at the bottom of Goodwill. Because it wouldn't balance each other as nicely, so I dropped that. So basically down here, I'm sorry you can't really see too well, I'm just kind of rearranging the typefaces a little bit more, just cleaning up the sides of the characters and to make sure that everything kind of fits a little bit better. So that's basically what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm just trying out different ideas, because obviously I got rid of the tail of the D here. I guess I'm still trying to just see how it would look like if I just did the G by itself instead, for like making a tail to wrap around the whole top portion of the Goodwill. But obviously, you know, that was also a bad idea. So over here, I'm trying to actually come up with this rectangle to go around the Goodwill, because I thought within itself of the infinity symbol, if I just had the borders connect to the word Goodwill, it's almost like the tails that I made connects with the forever shape of going around and around of the rounded rectangle. Plus, I wanted to keep that rounded rectangle in there too, just because the original Goodwill logo was in an encased like rectangle shape, and I kind of still wanted to pay a little bit of homage to that. Now within that, I did grab that lowercase g as like kind of a logo alternate. I just wanted to see how it would look like by itself, if it deemed worthy enough to continue on. In a way, it's kind of just like a parallel to the Goodwill face. Now once I kind of had those two packed down, this is where I am playing with color. I wanted that 70s feel to it, so I was just messing around with different types of colors that I made from a palette swatch that you can see on the left side, and just trying to narrow down what I wanted. Now, okay, this was me trying to edit things after I basically like finished, or what I thought I finished, and I didn't get footage of me designing this part just because this was almost like a last minute ideas. So here I was thinking of adding a little bit of the Goodwill face, but to match more of the logo that I am currently made. So I just put like a tiny smiley face in there, kind of as an alternate. And I was playing around with color, just trying to see if that was what I wanted. And oh, here I am again. I wanted to give you kind of different variety of shots of me editing. But yeah, with this one, I'm just playing around with different colors again with just the G alone, and trying to still decide whether or not I actually wanted to keep that, or if it just looked too out of place, or, you know, just not aesthetically pleasing design-wise. And then after I made that logo, I still wasn't sure if I actually liked it, so I went back to look at the second runner-up in typefaces and try to see if I can just like edit that out and see if maybe last minute I actually liked this better. But you know what, tried and true, still decided to go with my first typeface. I also wanted to see how Goodwill would look like just as the typeface alone, instead of adding like that tail. I just kind of blended it in together with the rounded rectangle to see if I actually liked that, but I did a very shoddy job because it was just me trying to experiment last minute just to see how it would look. And obviously, you know, we don't like it. Oh, but this was an aspect that I noticed in the Goodwill that I actually didn't show you. If you can see, if you go back and look at my previous Goodwill typeface, the G and the D actually didn't have like that apostrophe looking shape. Like it didn't have the same likeness to it as the O's did, so I actually did swap that out so that the whole word good actually all had the same like clean cut apostrophe shape on the inside of the circles. Or, you know, if you want to get technical, it is called the counter. And yeah, in my final drafts, I did decide that the Goodwill blue was actually tried and true, and I just used a blue kind of similar to the original Goodwill, but also made it more of the retro 70s blue color instead.
Okay, so that is the wrap up of redesigning the Goodwill logo. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm really interested in hearing about it. I think I pretty much liked what I did. I was actually pretty excited and I had a lot of fun trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, trying to veer off away from my design style a little bit. And I think for me doing this for, rare occasions, I think I did pretty well on this. Oh, also, if you like going thrifting and there are other thrift stores that are more local in your area that I have never heard of, let me know in the comment section below. I'm kind of curious about it. Also, please support me by buying me a coffee on Ko-Fi. Now, it's a one-time payment. It helps me out with this channel. It also helps me out with other platforms so I can keep creating content such as this. I will link that in the description box below and I will greatly appreciate it. Also, I'll also link all my other social platforms in the comment section below. Typically, you can pretty much find me if you just type in my name of my YouTube channel. Or also you can find me at regels.design. And as I've said earlier, if you like this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up so then more people can see this content. We could grow a little community. And if you end up liking this type of content, you like seeing my face, you want to keep hanging out, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Alright, well, I shall see you in the next video. Bye!